Sinclair looks down at the weapon and immediately recognizes the dark, crimson energy radiating from Vikir's blade. She instantly realizes that this ominous light is the signature aura of the infamous Night Hound. She finally realizes that the boy she loves is actually the notorious vigilante who killed her father. However, before she can even speak, the deadly S-rank paralyzing poison of Madame Eight Legs from Vikir's Beelzebub weapon immediately takes hold of her body. Sinclair quickly passes out in his arms. When Decarabia questions why he had to use such a dangerous poison, Vikir calmly reasons that using a neutralized paralyzing agent was absolutely necessary to stop her before things went too far. Loud red sirens suddenly begin to blare throughout the entire chamber. This happens because the security system detects Sinclair's paralyzed condition and immediately flags her as an abnormal test subject inside the breeding room. The automated system sounds an alarm, warning them that the terrifying owner of the laboratory is already on his way to check on his failed test subjects. The massive mechanical cubes surrounding them begin to loudly shift and shake. The entire core of the laboratory is preparing to reveal its truly terrifying ruler to the intruders. A colossal and absolutely terrifying hybrid slowly descends from the deep shadows above. This monster is revealed to be the legendary master of spatial magic, known simply as the Dragon Man. Decarabia instantly panics and explains that this extinct dragon-demon hybrid shouldn't even exist inside Amdusius's abyss tree, warning Vikir not to try fighting it. The demon stresses that they cannot defeat this monster with their current restricted stats, and Vikir agrees, confirming that they should only focus on escaping this laboratory alive. The massive dragonman breathes heavily down at them, sending chills through the air, but Vikir remains completely calm as he carefully cradles the unconscious Sinclair in his arms. Glaring down at them in pure annoyance, the dragonman triggers a system notification that officially sentences the abnormal test subjects to immediate and total disposal. Vikir is left briefly confused by this sudden and harsh judgment. He holds Sinclair even tighter as the entire metal chamber around them begins to violently tremble. Then, a blinding blue flash of light suddenly erupts from the walls, completely engulfing the entire chamber and blocking their vision. Their mechanical chamber completely detaches from the main structure and plummets down a massive shaft, violently bouncing off the metal walls during their terrifying freefall. Vikir slowly emerges from the broken chamber and carefully scans the dark, wreckage-filled environment to figure out exactly where they have ended up after the crash. A new system window pops up in front of him to reveal that they have successfully landed on underground floor 9.5, which is known as the waste disposal ground. Vikir immediately recalls the tragic memoirs of a past student who was trapped inside the combat room of the Dragonman's laboratory, where the scent of fresh blood and desperate screams never faded. Although the basic mission to advance forward was straightforward, actually finding a way to escape this endless hellhole seemed completely impossible for anyone trapped inside. Trapped in a loop of endless violence and horror, the poor student was forced to fight wave after wave of colossal monsters just to stay alive for another day. In order to survive, he had to brutally slaughter beasts, terrifying monsters, and even other desperate human challengers who quickly turned on each other for survival. With his mind and body completely broken from the constant slaughter, his rapidly deteriorating state eventually triggered a system warning that prompted the laboratory master to personally inspect him. Being deemed a completely failed test subject, he was promptly discarded by the system and dumped down the dark disposal chute like a piece of worthless trash. Even though the system officially declared his trial mission complete, he was still left completely stranded with absolutely no visible exit portal in sight. He woke up inside a massive graveyard filled with failed, mutated experiments that squirmed endlessly around him because they were cursed and completely unable to die. Realizing much too late that the tower never actually intended to let anyone escape, he was ultimately torn to shreds by the beasts and died in that rotting pit. In the present moment, Decarabia panics because the system has officially declared their escape mission complete, yet they are still trapped in this exact same horrible waste dump. Vikir calmly observes the area, noting that while they successfully escaped the laboratory just like the memoir described, they have not actually cleared the floor itself yet. He deduces that the dying student who wrote the record in the past simply lacked the physical strength to properly search for the hidden exit portal. When faced with endless hordes of terrifying beasts, most people would instantly give up hope, but Vikir is highly confident that a hidden exit portal has opened somewhere nearby. Vikir immediately leaps forward into action, drawing his blade and slicing the oncoming horde of monsters into bloody pieces with ease. Even he struggles to move completely freely under the heavy, oppressive gravity of the dump, but his focus is suddenly shattered when something unexpected catches his eye. He turns around in shock to see Sinclair standing completely upright, with her eyes heavily shadowed and her presence feeling deeply ominous. However, Sinclair's eyes quickly clear up as she fully regains her sanity, because the paralyzing poison has finally run its course. Vikir quickly apologizes to her and tries to explain that they have absolutely no time to discuss the complicated situation right now. Instead of arguing, Sinclair immediately points across the deep chasm and calmly reveals that she has already located the glowing exit portal they need. Vikir is genuinely relieved to see that the portal leading to the next floor has indeed generated across the gap and is fully active. Suddenly, Vikir's incredibly sharp assassin senses begin to tingle with a terrifying, heavy warning of extreme danger approaching them from behind. Vikir looks back in absolute horror as a colossal red eye tears directly open the very fabric of space right behind the unsuspecting Sinclair. Right after that, a massive scaly arm lunges down from the dark void, aiming to instantly crush the completely oblivious girl into dust. Moving like a flash of lightning, Vikir sweeps Sinclair tightly into his arms and leaps to safety just as the giant hand violently smashes into the chamber ground. Cradling her closely in his arms, Vikir quickly checks to see if she is unharmed, while Sinclair can only stare up at him in utter shock and disbelief. She blushes intensely and tries to smile through her warm tears, softly assuring him that she is completely fine and safe in his hold. However, their brief quiet moment is suddenly cut short as Vikir senses yet another devastating attack heading straight toward them, forcing them to move immediately. Vikir narrowly dodges a colossal smash from the shadow monster, which completely pulverizes the solid stone ground directly beneath where they were standing just seconds ago. He quickly sprints through the falling debris and successfully reaches the edge of the glowing portal, loudly urging Sinclair to jump inside with him immediately. But they both freeze in absolute shock as they notice a highly crucial and disturbing detail about how the portal is behaving. A bright red system warning window pops up in front of them to confirm the ultimate, cruel twist. Only a single challenger is allowed to pass through this portal to escape. Quietly cursing the system's petty and cruel tricks, Vikir looks deeply into Sinclair's eyes and somberly notes that they both already know what must be done. Suddenly, Sinclair activates her glowing magic circle, echoing the exact self-sacrificing logic of her old friends by deciding that the person with the highest chance of survival is the one who must live. With a sudden burst of strength, she forcefully pushes Vikir directly into the glowing portal, leaving him completely stunned and helpless as he begins to fall backward through the light. Sinclair smiles serenely even as a colossal claw looms menacingly right behind her, sadly lamenting to herself that she still had so many things she wanted to say to the legendary Night Hound. She fully accepts her tragic fate, realizing much too late that the legendary hero she had searched for all along was none other than her beloved senior from the academy. She sadly wonders why she always seems to miss the perfect timing in her life, slowly closing her eyes with a peaceful smile as the looming darkness closes in around her. But just as Sinclair prepares herself for the end, a thick, sticky spider web suddenly shoots out from the portal and wraps itself tightly around her chest. Using his strong spider thread to swap their physical positions, Vikir lunges forward out of the portal and forcefully pulls her toward the exit, telling her with absolute determination that she must survive. Sinclair is left completely shocked as she is violently yanked directly into the glowing exit portal, tearfully crying out Vikir's name in desperation as she disappears through the bright light. The exact moment she passes through to safety, the colossal claw smashes heavily onto the stone platform with an earth-shattering clash, completely sealing off any remaining escape path for Vikir.